in a remote village, surrounded by silence, dirt roads, and an eerie stillness that deepens after nightfall. A group of Tablighi Jamaat members had traveled there for a 10-day stay. Among them was Russell Bai. During the day, they went around, invitation to faith, and at night, they stayed and slept inside the mosque. Just as usual, 2 days passed quite normally, but from the third night, something unusual began. On the first night, deep into the silence, inside the dimly lit mosque, everyone was asleep. Russell Bai was lying on one side when suddenly, he woke up. As he opened his eyes, he noticed a man standing in one corner of the mosque, offering prayer. The man didn't seem unusually tall or short, perhaps around 4 to 5 feet in height. Everything felt normal. Russell Bai thought to himself, maybe he's someone from the village, here for tahajjud prayer. There was no fear. After all, it was the house of Allah, and his companions were nearby. But the strange part was, within moments of seeing the man, an overwhelming wave of sleep took over him, as if someone had forced his eyes shut, and then he remembered nothing. On the third night, he saw the man again. After finishing his prayer and turning his head for salam, the man called out to him, yet somehow Russell Bai didn't fully wake up at that moment. The man spoke in a calm voice. "Brother, tomorrow after Isha prayer, you are invited to my home. Be ready, I will come to take you." Now, in Tablighi Jamaat, there is always an Amir, leader, and it is part of proper etiquette that no one goes anywhere without his permission. But strangely, Russell Bai completely forgot about this. Was it just forgetfulness, or was he made to forget? That remained a mystery. The next day, after Isha prayer, he waited, but the thought of informing the Amir simply didn't come to his mind. After the prayer ended, he stepped outside the mosque just to see if the man was there, and then he saw him, standing at a distance, partially hidden in the darkness. As Russell Bai looked closer, he noticed something odd. The man wasn't wearing any sandals. He thought to himself, in this deep darkness, he walked all the way from the edge of the village, barefoot without any light. It felt a bit strange, but then again, the man prayed regularly, even tahajjud, and villagers know their paths well, whether there is light or not, with or without shoes. Maybe it wasn't that unusual. The man greeted him and said, "Come, I've been waiting for you. I'll have to drop you back as well, so we shouldn't be too late." Hearing this reassured Russell Bai even more, so he began walking behind the man, along the narrow village path. The road wasn't completely deserted. There were houses scattered along the sides. So, he didn't feel afraid. After about 10 minutes of walking, they reached a house, but as soon as he arrived, something caught his attention. A hearse van was parked outside, the kind used to carry dead bodies, a freezer vehicle with a cooling system inside, and it seemed like the engine was still running. Russell Bai was surprised. Then the man said, "You wait here for a moment. I'll come back and open the door for you." So he stood there, waiting. At first, he thought it would take a minute or two, but time kept passing. 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. Now he was alone, an unfamiliar place, darkness all around. He didn't belong to this area. If someone suddenly questioned him, what would he even say? A sense of unease began to grow inside him. Finally, he walked up to the door and knocked. No response. He knocked again. Still nothing. Then, slowly, the door opened. The door was opened by a woman. As soon as she opened it, Russell Bai's eyes instinctively moved inside the house. He saw a young girl, around 20 or 22 years old, sitting on a bed. One of her legs appeared to be broken, wrapped in thick bandages. Caught off guard by the sight, he quickly lowered his gaze. The woman then spoke gently. "You've come to the right place. There's nothing to be afraid of. We've been waiting for you. Please, come inside." Russell Bai felt a wave of hesitation. Where did the man go? The one who had brought him here? Instead, the door was opened by someone else. Something about this situation felt off. Still, unsure of what else to do, he stepped inside. Once inside, the woman, her voice trembling with emotion, said, "Son, I really need your help. I have something important to discuss with you. Let's talk while you eat." The arrangement was simple, but Russell Bai ate with quiet satisfaction. At one point, the woman said, My name is Masuma, and the girl you see, with the broken leg, she is my daughter. Her name is Suma." She paused, then continued. "As you can see, something is clearly wrong with her. At night, she suddenly wakes up screaming, but says nothing. She just sits there in silence." Her voice grew heavier. "Her husband, one night he fell asleep and never woke up again." Russellby listened silently. Masuma continued. "She had 3 children. All 3 died in unnatural ways." Her tone dropped even lower. "And the last child. We haven't even been able to bury." Russellby froze. Masuma pointed outside. "The body is in that freezer van you saw outside." Hearing this, Russellby was deeply shocked. He tried to make sense of it. At first, I thought, maybe it's some kind of land dispute, he wondered internally. In some places, bodies aren't buried until disputes are resolved. But then again, this was just a newborn child. What kind of dispute could involve a baby? As he was lost in thought, Masuma seemed to sense it. Then she revealed something far more terrifying. Every time we try to dig a grave, water fills it up. Sometimes, horrifying snakes appear inside the grave, raising their hoods. She paused. But the worst thing, her voice almost broke. Even when we manage to bury the body, later we find it outside. Russellby's heart skipped a beat. The grave remains untouched, completely intact. But when we open it, the body is gone. And outside, we find it lying there. A chill ran through him. If the grave was undisturbed, how did the body come out? What was doing this? No one in the village could understand. Now Russellby was a complete outsider here. He had never met this woman or her daughter before. So why was he brought here? How did they even think he could help? He didn't understand, but there was something about him. His father, uncles, even his grandfather. For generations, his family had been involved in spiritual practices. He had learned certain things from them, but he had never used them, because such practices required permission, and he had never been granted that. Yes, he knew how things were done, but he never had the courage or the need to apply them. Masuma then looked at him with hope and said, "Will you help us? I hope you won't say no." Russellby hesitated, then replied, "I'll try, but I don't have permission to perform such things. I've only learned by observing. I've never actually practiced. I don't even know if I can do it." He paused, then added, "Not tonight. The body is already in the freezer van. Let it stay there. I'll try to do something tomorrow. I can't come during the day. I'll come at night. These kinds of matters are better dealt with at night." As he stepped out of the house, suddenly the man appeared again. The same man who had brought him there. He hadn't been around all this time. The man calmly said, "Come, I'll walk you back." They walked together, and along the way exchanged a few words. After returning to the mosque, Russellby eventually fell asleep. But that night, he had a terrifying dream. He saw a headless, dark figure. Blood was gushing out from its neck, and its eyes were on its chest, bright red, glowing. About the size of tennis balls, the figure came closer, and suddenly grabbed his throat. Russellby could feel it, as if it was real, as if something was actually pressing down on his neck. He struggled, but couldn't move. After what felt like an eternity, the entity spoke in a hoarse, chilling voice. "You will not do this. If you even try to do this," the voice turned darker. "Remember, I will wipe out your entire bloodline." Then, a loud, chilling laughter echoed, and the entity vanished. Russellby's eyes snapped open. Breathing heavily, he sat up. But what he saw next shocked him even more. All around him, his fellow Tablighi brothers were gathered, surrounding him. As soon as he opened his eyes, he asked what had happened. One of them replied with a trembling voice, "I woke up for Tahajjud prayer, and suddenly I heard someone groaning. I followed the sound, and found it was you. I ran towards you, and saw you rolling on the ground, groaning in pain." His voice shook as he continued. "And your throat, it was shrinking, as if something invisible was choking you. Like when someone presses the throat, it tightens, and when released, it expands again. That's exactly what was happening." By then, everyone had woken up. They had all witnessed it. Russellby himself could still feel a slight pain in his throat, but within a short time, it faded away. However, he told no one about the dream, not even the emir. In fact, The emir had no idea any of this was happening, and strangely, Russell Bye couldn't even bring himself to tell him. It was as if the thought never fully formed. He would hesitate, then forget. Even the need to take permission never crossed his mind. The next night, after Isha prayer, he set out alone towards that house. When the other brothers asked him where he was going, he gave no answer. He simply walked away. The emir was left confused. Where did he go without saying anything? The previous night, no one had asked him anything. He had just come back, laid down, and then that terrifying incident happened. And even when asked, he couldn't properly recall or explain anything. Moreover, the emir himself wasn't someone familiar with such paranormal matters, nor did he practice any form of spiritual healing, so he couldn't fully grasp what was going on. That night, as Russell Bye walked, he was able to recognize the house again, even in the darkness. As soon as he knocked, the same woman opened the door. She seemed relieved, even happy to see him. As he entered, the first thing he asked was to see Suma. She led him to her room. There, he saw Suma lying on the bed, her injured leg slightly elevated. It was clearly fractured, but something about the room felt wrong, unnatural, as if it was sealed by some dark, invisible force. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating. Russell Bye and Masuma stood inside the room. But now, a different thought crossed his mind. He asked, "Auntie, the man who brought me from the mosque yesterday, he didn't come today. I came alone. Where is he?" Hearing this, the woman fell silent for a moment. Then slowly, she said, "He is not a human. He is a jinn." Russell Bye froze. The way she said it sounded so normal, as if she were talking about an ordinary person. She continued, "This jinn has caused some harm to my daughter." That made it even more confusing. If it harmed her, then why bring him here? Sensing his confusion, Masuma spoke again. "In truth, a sorcerer cast black magic on my daughter. He used 3 jinn to do it, and one of them is the one you saw." She paused, then added, "He is a Muslim jinn, but he is being forced to do this because his family is being held captive by the sorcerer. So along with the other 2 jinn, he was sent to harm my daughter. He has no choice. But even then, he is trying to protect her. He pretends to obey, but secretly he's helping. He has created an illusion so that neither the sorcerer nor the other jinn can understand what he's doing. He wants to save my daughter, and that's why he brought you here. He somehow understood that you have some knowledge about Ruqya, and he had no other way to reach anyone else. He couldn't leave his assigned place. So when he got the chance to enter the mosque, he realized there is someone here who knows something. That's why he created a way to bring you here and introduced you to this family." Masuma also added that the jinn believed Russell Bye might be capable of handling this. After that, they didn't stretch the discussion any further. Russell Bye began immediately. He recited supplications and first spiritually sealed the room. Then, reciting verses from the Quran and sending blessings, he blew over the girl. After that, he instructed Masuma, "If she behaves abnormally, sprinkle this water on her and mix this blessed water and make her bathe with it." He had already recited over the water. When he finally left the house, it was around 2 a.m. The night was pitch dark, perhaps a new moon night. Holding a small, single-battery torchlight, he began walking back toward the mosque. Suddenly, a rotting, putrid smell hit his nose. It was so unbearable, he almost threw up, and then he saw it, the same horrifying figure from his dream, standing right in front of him. In an instant, it leaped forward, grabbing his throat, lifting him slightly off the ground. In a raspy, terrifying voice, it said, "I'm giving you one last chance. Stay away from this. If you go to that house again, that day will be your last." And just like that, it released his throat. He dropped to the ground from that height. Surprisingly, he wasn't badly hurt. By the mercy of Allah, he was safe, and the entity vanished. Terrified, he hurried back to the mosque. By the time he returned, everyone was asleep. That night, he too fell asleep, but again, that same choking presence returned in his sleep. Only this time, No one else noticed. When he woke up, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. Later that night, the jinn came to him again, bringing news the girl's other leg had been broken. At that moment, Russell Pye realized he couldn't handle this alone. For the first time, from beginning to end, he told everything to his friend Alif, who had come with him in the same Tablighi group. After hearing everything, Alif said, "So you've been going there for days, without telling the Emir? That's not right. And this kind of matter, we can't really tell anyone either. And the Emir probably wouldn't be able to handle this. But still, going out like this without informing him isn't proper." Russell Pye then calmly explained, if this spreads, it could create serious problems. For the greater good, let's not tell anyone. After some thought, Alif agreed. No one else was told. That very night, the two of them went to the house together. Once there, they drew 3 circles. Each of them sat inside one, Russell Pye in one, Alif in another, and Suma in the third. For the first time in his life, Russell Pye began performing ruqya himself. He was nervous because he had never actually done this before. He had only seen it being done. As he continued reciting for a while, suddenly, something happened. A jinn entered Alif's body. It was the same jinn, the one who had brought Russell Pye here. After entering, it greeted them with salam and said, "There's no time left. Finish this as quickly as possible." Russell Pye asked, "What do you mean, no time?" The jinn replied, "This girl has a dark past. There was once a powerful sorcerer in this region, a black magician, who took contracts to kill people for money. If he cast black magic on someone, it almost always worked. Very rarely, it would fail." He paused. "He had only one son. His name was Borua. That's what people called him, though his real name is unknown. The boy was completely different from his father. Kind-hearted, gentle, and for almost 2 years, he was in a relationship with Suma. Borua belonged to a Hindu family, and Suma was Muslim. At first it was just friendship, but slowly it turned into love. Borua even left his studies, started looking for a job. He wanted to convert and marry Suma. But when Suma's family found out, they didn't accept it. They forced her into another marriage. The jinn's voice grew heavier. Borua couldn't take it. He was deeply in love with her, so much that he had already ruined his own future. When he found out she was married, he broke, and in unbearable pain, he took his own life. Meanwhile, Suma moved on with her married life, and the sorcerer, Borua's father, had no idea what truly happened. He was always busy with his dark practices. He never had the time to understand what his son was going through. But the reason behind the boy's suicide, the spiritual practitioner couldn't understand it at first. So, he turned to some of the jinn under his command, seeking answers. When they came, they revealed something disturbing, that everything had happened because of a girl named Soma. Hearing this, he was consumed with rage. How dare she? Because of her, the boy met such a tragic end. This is something I will never accept. Never. Yes. He might not have accepted their marriage anyway, but the girl could have simply walked away. Instead, all the blame, all the anger, fell entirely upon Soma, and from that moment, his fury turned into something far darker. He decided to do something cruel, something inhuman. He cast a spell so terrifying that once Soma's husband fell asleep, he would never wake up again. He would keep sleeping, endlessly. As time passed, his body would slowly lose water. Dehydration would set in. He wouldn't eat, wouldn't move, and gradually his body would weaken, until one day he would die, silently, in his sleep. What kind of magic it was, whether it was a soul-binding curse or something else, no one could say for sure, but something had definitely been done. And that jinn, the same jinn, had appeared before Russell Pye in the form of Soma's father, even though her father was no longer alive. After revealing all this, the jinn said it could no longer stay and disappeared. Right after that, Alif Pye suddenly lost consciousness, and then the girl screamed. Still sitting inside the circle, she began shouting uncontrollably. Her legs were broken, yet somehow she started floating in the air. There were multiple circles drawn around, and from within one of them, she stretched out her hand and grabbed Russell Pye by the throat. At that moment, he realized, Soma wasn't affected by just one jinn, but multiple. He said nothing. Silently, he began reciting prayers, and suddenly, he slapped her across the face. She was thrown back, falling inside the circle, groaning in pain. He recited over some water and told Soma's mother, "Sprinkle this on her, take her inside the room, lock the door, and do not open it before Fajr." After that, he and Alif Bai, who had regained consciousness by then, left the house. It's common in such situations. People lose consciousness only briefly, especially when the jinn departs. Around 2:30 at night, they were heading back to the mosque, but suddenly, he noticed Alif Bai was no longer beside him, and somehow, he was walking inside a graveyard. The strange part? He had taken this road many times before, but had never seen any graveyard there. Even after everything, the threats, the fear, the encounters, Allah had granted him immense courage. Otherwise, he would have never returned to that house again. But this time, something felt different. He was afraid, walking through the graves, confused, lost, wondering, "Where am I? Which way should I go?" He started reciting Surah Al-Baqarah. Suddenly, he stumbled against a grave marker, almost fell, but managed to get back up. And then, something happened, something he was never prepared for. As he continued walking, reciting, he suddenly felt his body was no longer under his control. Around him, echoing through the sky and air, was a terrifying, thunderous laughter. Then came a violent storm. The wind spun around him, throwing him off balance, until suddenly, it felt like an invisible force pushed him, and he fell into a pit. A broken grave. Inside it, he could see everything clearly. Then slowly, he looked upward, and what he saw next was beyond horrifying. A decaying corpse. Its flesh had rotted away. Parts of it had merged with the soil, bones exposed, organs spilling out. In its hand was a piece of burial cloth. It threw the cloth toward him, gesturing him to wear it. He had no control over himself. Inside that grave, he wrapped the cloth around his body. Then the corpse, that terrifying figure, gestured him to lie down. And he did, inside the broken grave. Moments later, more shadowy figures appeared above, their faces unclear. They began throwing soil into the pit. He could feel it, the grave slowly filling up, soil falling over him, onto his face, until finally it covered everything, and after that, he remembered nothing. By now, the Emir had already sensed that something was going on, that Russell Bai and Alif Bai were involved in something unusual, but for reasons unknown, he chose not to ask. That night, things escalated quickly. The moment the ruqya began, the jinn appeared. No delay, no resistance, and this time, Russell Bai didn't hesitate. He trapped it instantly. The jinn screamed, "Why have you imprisoned me? I brought you here. For the girl's sake." Russell Bai's voice turned cold. "No, you're hiding something. Tell me everything, now." The jinn paused, then slowly began. "There are 3 of us, but the real harm done to this girl was not by me. It was done by the other 2. Russell Bai leaned forward. "Who? Tell me their names. Now." At that moment, something strange happened. The jinn inside Alif Bai's body tried to speak, again and again, but every time it looked toward the window and fell silent, as if something was standing there, watching, threatening. Fear was visible in its eyes. Sensing this, Russell Bai made a bold decision. He released the jinn, but not without a warning. "If you don't tell me their names tomorrow, you will be destroyed." And right then, something horrifying happened. Soma's arm suddenly lifted into the air, as if grabbed by an invisible force, and then twisted, violently, unnaturally, a full rotation, 360 degrees. A loud cracking sound echoed. Her arm was broken. She let out a piercing scream. Russell Bai froze. For a moment, even he didn't know what to do. He quickly sprinkled the recited water and left. 10 days passed. The rest of the group had to leave. It was time. Before leaving, Russell Bai and Alif Bai finally spoke to the Emir. They explained, partially, requested to stay back. The Emir listened carefully, then said, "If you believe this is right, Stay, but I must speak to your families. He did, and after some discussion, permission was granted, so the Emir left with the rest of the group, leaving only two behind, Russell Bai and Alif Bai. That night, nothing happened, but the next night, they returned. The freezing van, no longer running continuously. It couldn't be kept on like that forever. Inside, the condition of the body, unknown. Sometimes it was turned on, just to preserve what remained. They began Ruqya again. An hour passed, nothing. Then, suddenly, the jinn appeared. This time, its voice was trembling, almost crying. The ones who harmed the girl, their names are Ifrad and Mutif. Last night, when I tried to say their names, they were standing outside the window. They broke her arm, in anger. And when I was released, they reported everything to the sorcerer. And now, my family has been killed. Silence filled the room. The jinn continued. The more you proceed, the more harm will come to the girl. But Russell Pai replied firmly, Inshallah, as long as Allah is with us, no harm will prevail. Then he did something different. He combined their names with verses from the Quran and began reciting powerful Ruqya ayat. And immediately, something changed. Both jinn, Ifrad and Mutif, manifested. Inside Alif Bai, they laughed, a chilling, mocking laughter. Too late, they said. You're already too late. Russell Bai stared at them. What has the sorcerer done to this girl? One of them replied, she has been fed a talisman, and not just her. 5 people across Bangladesh, each suffering from different diseases. They've all been given the same kind of talisman. From now on, whatever pain they feel, she will feel it too. Then the tone shifted, mocking, threatening. Hey, Huzur, you don't know as much as you think you do. We warned you. Don't get involved. You couldn't handle it, but you came anyway. And what happened? Nothing. Have you forgotten that night? You are powerless. You have no ability to stop this. So why did you come? To make things worse? A pause, then a final threat. Now, you will die too. And at that moment, Russell Pai's expression changed. His patience was gone, his anger ignited. Something inside Russell Pai finally snapped without wasting another second. He drew another circle. Stepping inside it, he grabbed a stick and struck the ground once. He paused. Alif Pai's body twitched. That was enough. It was working. Then he began striking again, and again, and again, relentless. The ground echoed with each blow, and from inside Alif Bai's body, the jinn screamed, Stop! Don't hit! We will deal with you. Russell Pai's voice rose. What will you do to me? And then he pulled out a glass bottle. The atmosphere shifted. The jinns started talking. This time, they revealed everything. When Soma was pregnant with her last child, we came to her, in her dreams, disguised, offering sweets. But it wasn't sweets. It was a talisman. We made her consume it. That talisman merged with the child's body. And when the child was born, it was born dead. But here's the truth. That body cannot be buried. If it is buried, if it reaches the grave wrapped in kafan, the effect of the talisman, it will be destroyed. And that's why we are not letting it happen. The room fell silent. Then they continued. The first child was suffocated with a pillow by Ifrad. The second was beaten to death by Mutif. And the last one, we killed together. And Soma's broken leg, that wasn't us. It was the good jinn. He was forced to do it, against his will. Everything was connected, every pain, every loss, every horror. And now, the truth was clear. They were creating chaos, just to prevent the burial of the child. But reality hit hard. How long could a dead body be kept inside a freezing van? It required money, fuel maintenance, every single day. It was becoming more difficult. And this wasn't a body that could simply be placed in a morgue. The situation was collapsing. That night, with everything he had, Russell Bai managed to drive the 2 jinns away, for the time being. But deep down, he knew the truth. This was beyond him, far beyond. He had underestimated it, and now he had no choice. He turned to the family and surrendered. I tried with everything I had. You trusted me. And I came. But I am not experienced enough for this. I cannot handle this. They are far more powerful than me. I will go back. Consult others, my family, but for now, you must bury the child. It is necessary, but even that was not simple, because when the jinns left Alif Bai's body, they didn't leave quietly. They broke him, one arm, one leg shattered, and Russell Bai himself was not spared. After leaving the house, his body began to ache, as if 20, 30 invisible beings had beaten him relentlessly. Pain spread across his entire body. He was later hospitalized for days, and just like that, the mission ended, incomplete, unfinished. No one knows what happened to that family afterward. No one knows if the child was ever buried or if the curse was ever broken. But one thing remains, haunting a talisman, fed in a dream, and 5 other people scattered across Bangladesh, each suffering from different deadly diseases. Bound together, connected, whatever pain they feel, Soma will feel it too. But at that time, it hadn't started yet, because the child carried the strongest part of that curse, and until the body returns to the earth, fully the curse remains dormant, and that is why they refuse to let the burial happen, because once it begins, it won't stop. Russell Bai couldn't finish it. No one knows who did, or if anyone ever could. This was not just a story, it was an unfinished horror, a mystery left in darkness.